What's the basis for spaceships except for conveyance to escape the matrix? No, but it's more than you've seen it do. I promise you that my bars is rap genius proof, and I'd rather take the scenic route. Not the type that you see in groups. So, hey everybody, we are back. Hold this mic, Akil Vix.
Josh Chris Burchard.
How y'all doing? I know I'm doing. It's football is back in America. I can forget about Trump. I can forget about all the division and wars in North Korea, like all that stuff. Football is back, and I'm happy to see people kill themselves for my amusement. But I bring this up on our political podcast because I noticed something, and I think a lot of people noticed it too. I don't know, there's a guy you may have heard of, Colin Kaepernick, quarterback, formerly of the San Francisco 49ers, who last year in the NFL decided to continue the tradition of a lot of prominent athletes to take a stand, to use their platform for a political, purpose. Muhammad Ali, the guys, the Black Power Salute guys,
Jesse Owens,
Jesse Owens, John Carlos, and I never remember the other guy's name. But yeah, people, take stands in sports all the time. So Colin Kaepernick last year decided to first sit and then later kneel during the national anthem to raise awareness for the incredible amount of, black people and other people of color who have been brutalized and killed by police. And the NFL promptly lost its shit. And now he's been blackballed. He doesn't have a job. He opted out of his contract in San Fran, thinking that, he was a good enough quarterback to get another job. But essentially he's been blackballed. And people who are not outraged by this, or even some people are supporting his being blackballed from the league, usually fall into one or two camps. Usually, so there are people who say it's disrespectful to not stand for the anthem, and no matter what your cause, it's the wrong way to go about it, and that's it's too much of a distraction, it's too much of a hoopla, and that's why no one's going to give him a chance. There's this other camp who keeps trying to make the case that Colin Kaepernick is not good enough to play the NFL. Now, so yesterday, we're recording this on Monday. Yesterday was Sunday, first football day of the year. I watched the Eagles game first because we're in South Philly.
We are in South Philly.
Yeah, you got
Southwest Philly.
Southwest Philly, when in Rome, And then I put on Red Zone and I watched the rest of the games. And Josh, I saw some quarterbacks who cannot play goddamn football. I could have been out there and been better than some of these people.
Carson Wentz?
No, Carson Wentz is a god amongst men. Come on, get out of here. Carson Wentz is great.
He was great, but he kind of made a quick dash a number of times to make a throw, to make a miracle play.
He's a young guy. He gets the yip sometimes. I'm talking more guys like Scott Tolzien from the Colts. The venerable, unassailable Scott Tolzien. Future Hall of Famer. Threw 2 pick-6 interceptions yesterday. How about Josh McCown for the Jets? He sucked. You got Tom Savage for the Texans. Didn't make it the whole game. Got benched at halftime.
Right. I bet all these guys stood up for the national anthem. Though.
All these guys stood up for the national anthem. So they
they were having a lot of jingoistic feeling at the time too.
I don't want. Look, these guys, they got a job. I don't want to make any assumptions about their political leanings. All I'm saying is that Colin Kaepernick went to a Super Bowl. Colin Kaepernick has been to multiple Pro Bowls. He had some injury problems and he had a really bad year, right? He had 2 years of being not the greatest quarterback.
But any other quarterback under the same conditions without
Well, you know what?
Would have been bad.
He was never worse than Scott Tolzien.
No.
He was never worse than
I mean,
Brian Hoyer. He's never worse than Blake Bortles and all these guys. They're people who, because you need a starting quarterback,
right.
and there's not that many good starting quarterbacks in the world, let alone the league. And some of these people were signing people who hadn't played football in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And like the idea that he's not good, he's not better than these guys, and that's why he's not in the league is preposterous.
Well, like who took like Donovan McNabb after he left the Eagles? He went somewhere, right?
I think we traded him to the Redskins. I can't remember if we traded him or we cut it. I think we traded him.
And he played for the Redskins. Yeah. And he had been all the way to like an NFC championship once.
Yep, he went to the Super Bowl.
Went to the Super Bowl and lost. And but he was not probably as good as Colin Kaepernick.
I think Donovan McNabb at his best was probably better than Kaepernick. But, it's kind of hard to say.
He's bigger than Kaepernick.
He's bigger than Kaepernick, but they're both mobile quarterbacks. They both had, cannons for arms. They could throw the ball downfield. Very comparable players. Another comparable player would be one Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Another athletic quarterback.
Yep. We got him
cannon
from Cowboys?
Falcons. You remember how we got him?
Because he was expelled from the league for fighting his dog and torturing his dog, allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if people listening know much about Philadelphia, or specifically white people in Philadelphia. They love some motherfucking dogs.
They love their dogs. And they hate some black people who torture their dogs.
Yeah. So I remember when we signed Michael Vick out of jail after paying his, price for illegal dog fighting. Well, no, all dog fighting should be illegal. It shouldn't be like legal dog fighting. I don't know why I said it. But anyway, he goes to jail, pays his price. We sign him, and all these people are saying like, oh, well, I'm going to boycott the Eagles. I'm never watching football again. The same type of stuff that you hear about people if their team signed Colin Kaepernick, like, I'll boycott you, right?
Right.
Nobody boycotted shit.
No one gave a shit.
It's football. It's like no one's gonna stop watching football.
Except Kaepernick's gonna stay on the bench because police are not gonna stop shooting black men.
And Kaepernick said that he's done with that style of protest. Like he's raised awareness.
Right.
And now if someone signed him, he'd stand and he'd go out and play. But don't take my word for it. Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, probably the best quarterback in the league right now, says that Kaepernick should be in the league. Steph Curry, not a football player, but a pretty big
protested himself.
Basketball player. I don't think he did.
Didn't he?
He's made comments, like he's made comments, but he said, Kaepernick should be in the league. Coaches have said Kaepernick should be in the league. Like, this is it. And the thing is, so then if you want to go from that argument that he can't play, which is obviously false. If you're a football fan, you watch yesterday's games, it's clear he should be in the league. But you go to the other side of the argument that it's a distraction, or like you don't want a media circus following you around.
Right.
Few notes on that. One, plenty of players now are taking up the cause and doing their own gestures during the national anthem. One of the Eagles players, crap. It's always great when you forget the guys.
What position does he play?
Malcolm Jenkins, safety.
Okay.
Malcolm Jenkins is raising his arm.
Right.
In solidarity with Kaepernick. Yeah. Several Seahawks. The Browns. I think the entire Browns team is taking the knee for it, right?
Although then I saw the Browns running out of the fucking corner of the stadium with like the coaches, the team, like they had this like unity thing. They like talked it out. I mean, I guess that's good, but I don't think they're raising their fists anymore.
Yeah, and it's that kind of stuff's going to happen. Well, the Cleveland police like threatened to not like provide security because of it. Because we were talking about snowflakes earlier.
How could they do that? That's got to be illegal.
Well, no, I mean they don't have to. They can strike, I guess. I don't know. Cops are snowflakes, like. But so first of all, the protest, the fight has been joined. Like it's not just Kaepernick anymore. So you can't say that like, look at what's happening in Seattle because Michael Bennett is outspoken.
Right.
No, yeah. So that's not an excuse. And then even if no one else was doing it, it was just Kaepernick, right?
Right.
What does that say that if there's like a guy protesting police brutality and racial inequality,
Right.
that is justification. Like, just the fact that he did that, and some people who, for whatever reason, they're racist, don't want him to do it, you're going to side with the people who are basically saying, I don't want this black guy to use his voice to bring attention to a problem that I don't care who you are. If you don't think that there's a problem with police brutality, there are so many numbers, so many facts, so many figures, so many stories, videos, everything.
Right.
You're just wrong.
Right.
So he's calling attention to a real problem, and that the fact that he's doing that doesn't outweigh the fact that some racists don't like it.
Right.
And that's National Football League.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't expect team owners in the NFL to have the most, to have the widest angle on race and politics in the United States.
Yeah,
I think they're want to appeal to their better side. They're looking at their bottom line, and they don't want their white fans who are filling up the stadiums to have this kind of cognitive dissonance about like their players and their police and so on. And then second of all, they're racist and.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know them personally.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them are, I think there's gradations of racism probably. But, if you're an NFL coach, if you're an NFL owner, you're probably wealthy, you're probably conservative, you're probably not you probably don't have a lot of black friends who are at your power level and you're seeing eye to eye with. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I mean,
it's not surprising. I just thought it was comical how terrible some of these quarterbacks were today. And Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job. At some point I feel like someone's
just
got
kind
to
of
break.
Like a glaring hypocrisy.
And I just wish that, I just hope that these teams continue to suck and their quarterbacks continue to throw interceptions.
Right.
And, I'll have a little bit of schadenfreude to watching that.
Right. You know what I was thinking? So speaking of police brutality and the, 400-year-old assault on black people by police or police-like figures, I don't know, going back to overseers in the plantation or
slave patrols,
bounty hunters or slave hunters. The problem has been probably worse even in the past. Oh, surely worse at some points during slavery or during Reconstruction or whatever. And now, white America knows about it much better, and black folks know about it in real time based on one incident because they're getting filmed on smartphones.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
I would say. Black people always knew.
Black people always knew.
But it was one thing to know a story about somebody,
right? Or hear it happen outside your door, even,
right?
And be like, "That's so fucked up,"
right?
Or be like this woman who went to get services at the social services center I worked at in Philadelphia, who watched her son get shot 25 times in front of her by cops, and she said he was armed, and I'll take her word for it. But I don't think that's a great way to handle that.
No,
getting shot 25 times seems kind of extreme, but if you take the unarmed, just minding your business, trying to go about life, and getting harassed, and or just immediately getting shot, out of nowhere almost, or completely out of nowhere, it's been happening for a long time, and the phenomenon came to this boiling point in the last few years because I think there's so much public attention on each incident because it's on video.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, the guy, I'm forgetting the guy who, he was, like, in a grassy area, kind of bigger black guy, and he, like, turns around and starts walking away, and the cop just moves up and just fires, like, 6 shots into his back.
Yeah.
And, what was his name? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And then he goes and drops a gun next to him too.
Yeah.
Freddie Gray?
No, it wasn't Freddie Gray. It was the older guy. It was
older guy.
Walter Scott.
Walter Scott.
Yeah.
And when you see something like that happen, and then like the police department like gives the officer like puts him on probation.
Yeah.
And he's not tried, right?
No.
And the police department basically does a little damage control so that they, any criminal intent is not like, any criminal charges aren't brought against them.
Yeah.
So they protect themselves. And the public is left, especially black folks are left seeing this and, thinking like, well, this happened to my neighbor 6 doors down.
Yeah.
And I walk around all the time and I get harassed by police.
Yeah.
It could happen to me.
Yeah.
It could happen to my son. It could happen to my daughter. And
I think the feeling, like a lot of feeling, like I know the way I feel, it's like, no, this is bullshit. This is not a way to live. Like this isn't a way that a society should run, where you have a law enforcement, apparatus that sees itself as an occupying force,
right,
and that sees your life as worthless in comparison to their own perceived safety, or if they're scared or whatever, and like they just go into your neighborhood, your home, and just see like, okay, this is the people that I'm occupying. These are the people I need to bring to heel. Yeah, and I'm always need to be ready to like just kill one of them, because rather I kill them than there's even like a sniff of a hint of danger that like someone could maybe bruise my like wrist.
Right. They do it in the name of I'm going to kill them because they could kill me, but that's such a false notion, as shown on video time and time again.
Yeah.
These guys, and a lot of times, like sure, like there are probably cops who are more conscious of what it means to hold a gun and to carry it into a situation, and to not like have your energy and your anger, probably specifically racist anger, like being thrown into your gun, and when you pull the trigger, like there's probably different there's different kinds of cops, but the institutions are not changing the way they do business, so that the cops that have such a vendetta against black folks and are shooting them so quickly aren't punished to the full extent of the law, and then that the police department isn't like going around and doing personnel work and like trying to root out cops who have this kind of tendency to like overdo it with force.
Yeah, there's no institutional penalty for doing it, and that's the problem. When people say like, oh, it's not all cops, or it's just a few bad cops. Individual cops, it doesn't matter how many individual cops are like, either brutalizing black people or playing basketball with black kids and like, taking a video of it.
Right.
What matters is the system, the institution itself protects the cops that do the brutal acts. And it influences the cops who were good to follow that path. Every time a cop does some fucked up shit, every time a bad cop does some fucked up shit, there's like 3 or 4 good cops that are right behind him, not doing a goddamn
not doing a thing because they're afraid. Maybe they're afraid of him.
They're afraid.
Or
they're afraid of retribution in the department.
Yep, they're afraid of retribution.
I recommend everyone look up Michael A. Wood. I probably mentioned his name before on the show, but former Baltimore city cop. Like, you know, he was in the narcotics division. He was The Wire. You know.
Yeah.
And he talks about like his experience. Like this is what's wrong with policing. This is what we do. This is what happens when you try to, you know, fix it from the inside.
Right. Go against the leadership structure.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a great episode of This American Life. Shout out to Ira Glass. I'm just gonna keep shouting out other podcasts on this podcast. That's what's but it's I can't remember. It's about this guy Adrian Schoolcraft, who was a NYPD cop, and actually got his superiors on tape, on audio tape, telling them to target black kids, even if they're not doing anything, just to go after them. And like, you had to have arrested a certain number of black kids. If you didn't, there was something wrong with you. Like, what are you doing?
Oh my God.
And
so awful.
And this guy was like, well, no, like I'm trying to like walk around there. He was trying to be an actual policeman. He was trying to say like, look, it's a lot more helpful if I'm like friends with these people. So like when something actually does go down, they're not afraid of me.
Cooperate.
Yeah. And they were like, nah, like you just harass, you know, you should be able to arrest like 5 black
kids. And people wonder where like stop snitching comes from.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you know he videotapes this. He makes the mistake of like talking about this his insecurities about the job of like the on the job psychologist. They come to his house, and the only way that he gets warned about this is that his dad was a former cop and someone warned his dad. Yeah. They come to his house, and what was it called, 502, when they like put you under involuntary psychiatric hold. They put him under involuntary psychiatric hold. 302, yeah. They 302 him and don't tell anyone where he is. His dad had to like call in favors to find out where he is to get him out. And this is what happens in the system
all the time.
If you try to be a good cop.
Right.
So
I see. So there was retribution.
And there was discrediting him. So now it's like, you know, if he wants to come out and, you know, say like, yeah, like my superiors are telling me that to do all this stuff, they can say, no, this guy's clearly got a psychiatric history. He's just being crazy. What they didn't know was that he had hidden another voice recorder and they didn't find it. So he got all that on tape.
Wow, what a brave guy! Damn.
Yeah. If you're listening, find that episode, Adrian Schoolcraft on This American Life, because it plays all the tapes.
Adrian Schoolcraft.
Adrian Schoolcraft.
Wow. How do you spell that last name?
Just school and then craft.
Schoolcraft. Damn. The other thing I want to say is there's plenty of evidence for all this, like, you know, white rap fan, you know, would be like, you know, player, gangster types. There's a lot of rap that references police harassment. There's tons.
Yeah. From the beginning.
From like back to KRS-One.
Yeah. The with like Grandmaster 5 and the Grandmaster Flash and the Funky 5. Yeah. Like all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Furious 5.
Furious 5. Funky 5. I mean, actually, KRS has an interesting song called Black Cop. It's about a black cop who the white cops tell him what to do, and he like goes and like beats up black kids or something.
Yeah.
But you know, there's so many. I can't remember off the top of my head all the lines that. I mean, I've noticed it. I've always noticed it, but I mean that there's a line in that NWA song that about the same kind of situation with the KRS song, where they're like, he's like, black police showing out for the white cop. That's in, or that might be Ice Cube, actually.
I think that's Straight Outta Compton. Right?
Straight Outta Compton, yeah, it might be Straight Outta Compton. But obviously Straight Outta Compton is full of references to police and brutality and stuff like
Yeah.
that. There's, I don't know, there's, as a cultural reference, that's like just, you know, full of people's, you know, kind of like, I mean, as hip hop does so much, it kind of makes it ironic, or it makes it, you know, part of a playful, or like a fuck you, or like a, you know,
it's a sign of defiance. Really.
A defiance, yeah.
Take what oppresses us and then flip it into you know,
yeah. So maybe Akil and I will like string together some of those lines out of rap songs and insert them around here. Beep.
Insert song here.
That's something I could do, because got a little time, I think, coming up. Yeah, so anyway, I thought that it's funny because, like, you know, this is all stuff that, you know, when I was little, we got a VCR. My parents rented Eyes on the Prize, and we watched about the civil rights movement, and we saw, you know, they have footage of police hosing down protesters, you know, coming over the bridge in Selma or wherever it was, and
blocking traffic.
Yeah,
you know, blocking traffic. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah,
way to protest.
Better hose people for that shit.
Don't block traffic.
No, but you know, it's also kind of like there's a book I have, and I'm gonna find it, that I read in high school or in college, and it's called Race Rebels: Culture, Politics, and the Black Working Class. And it was good. I remember how that sort of like filled out a lot of sort of, in terms of like studying culture and studying reasons why people do things, you know, the way they do, and within groups or whatever. It's really interesting. But anyway, yeah, Akil, do you have anything else?
I think we got some good talking, and you know, like, there's a lot of shit going on, and like, I feel like both of us, we're just trying to process it, and you know, hopefully some people out there can like process it with us, and when we have guests on, we can all just process together. Yeah. And basically we can just trust the process.
Trust the process.
Yeah, because we're just gonna.
That's like our like actual subtext, subline, right?
Yeah.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Yep. It's not gonna all happen at once.
No.
But it's happening all the time.
All right, everybody. Yo, have a good night. This has been Hold the Mic. I'm Akil Vix.
I'm Josh Curtis Burchard.
Peace.
Escaping from hallucination, making do with fake is just a new vacation. So it seems so concerned with the scene. I prefer a lucid dream on. Dream of nights like these, dream of taking flight. Dream of heights like these, dreams is fucking nice. Get right like me, I'ma be alright. Man, I do this nightly, yeah. You should tell me what you know. Now you should tell me what you see. I think it's gonna be a very nice night. I think it's gonna be like it was all a dream. You should tell me what you know. Now you should tell me what you see. I think it's gonna be a very nice night. I think it's gonna be like it was all a dream. And any dream can turn nightmare. I'm right here looking for my buzz like light year. I'm light years ahead of you cats, there's so much light here. Like here it's bigger than rap, so I'm right here.